How do you think he's going to do?
If you received champion purebred gilt in any of the classes we've had today, please be ready for the Supreme Swine female class, which will be held next.
The other white one, Abby Barber's other white one, gives it a run for its money. I almost dropped the phone.
Our next class now entering the ring will be our juniors. We only have one class of juniors, which are seniors that are 10 to 12 years old.
Why isn't she got
Joy Thompson, Tate Gillette, Haley Homerson, Paige Bowman, Cole Evans.
Well, an interesting set of class winners here in our crossbred drive, and certainly pleased as each individual, a representative of their classes, come back out and you think back through, these are the ones we needed to have out here. I think they fit in terms of general pieces, being inside themselves when you study them coming and going. I think skeletal build is as good as we can make it in each in particular case, and they match up in that regard. Not quite as similar in terms of some of them are a little stouter and chunkier, and then we have some that are a little more refined and better looking, and that's just how it shakes out, especially when you put your emphasis on structural build first and then build other pieces around them. I think there's a few that you got to look at and study, and we'll kind of not talk them as extensively, but the gilt coming out of the first class, we talked about wanting to have that one back out here, and honestly, if she was 2 months older, that one probably wins this deal for fun, but probably in potential just means you hadn't done it yet, and she hadn't quite done it yet, and a lot of things could happen between her and the last few classes of these gilts in terms of maturity, and then structural build as we study her out back as they tend to kind of go as they get bigger there. But in terms of one looking to par, that's the kind of body I'd like to put on these gilts that are real massive, because that one's choke-necked and tall-fronted, yet still opened up and natural in her curvature of rib. So I love that one dearly. Unfortunately, she just hadn't quite gotten there yet, and I don't know in this particular show that we can rear back and use her, but certainly have to consider her. From there, you study a few of them. The young lady speckled gilt on the far end that's not cooperating probably needs to be just slightly more mature in terms of her body and the flesh that she carries, but that one that combines attractiveness, the correct rib shape and depth of body and look, combined with muscle and stoutness really, really well. We need her to be more comfortable, and we need to be a nickel more mature to really rear back and consider her. From there's a couple of gilts that it comes down to, and we talked about the young man's white gilt being really stout, mature, fed good, fit good. He shows her really, really nicely for how she's built. That's how you want to show her and feed her, and I think he's done that really well. She balances great. She's square built. She needs to be a little bit smoother from her loin to her hip. Now she's fed and fit to the point to where it might not jump out at you, but as you study that one, we want to make that better naturally, and that's a part that can give us some trouble in this industry, but I really like her past that little hole. The other one that really comes to mind is the young lady's gilt here that comes at me with a speckled up head and the white body. She's big back, she's big ended, she's big in the middle, she's really, really soggy as you study her from the side. Not quite as correct in her movement and smooth in her step as the young man's gilt, not quite as strong in her top line, and we can tweak her just a nickel as we move from loin to hip. But I think those are the two gilts that are mature and massive and offer up the correctness and maturity that we need to find in a female as we study them in that regard. And I guess for me, when you're picking a champion, like I said, maybe more than half of it, but at least half of it's how you bring them to the arena. There's an exhibitor that just brought the hog to come to town to win today from the showmanship, presentation, and then combine that with they picked a pretty good project to boot. The young man to my right will be your champion crossbred.